Please, my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe it, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Rocketeers of all ages, welcome back to the Bar Down Podcast. I am your host, Vexum, joined here by Marvel Man, giving you our recap of Worlds RLCS Group Day 1 play. Marvel Man, how you doing tonight?
It's going fantastic!
Awesome. Well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in to the recap from Day 1 from RLCS Worlds here. Looking at the group play bracket, we can see starting out, we'll start with our first game of the day, which was Semper versus Endpoint CEX. And Semper absolutely taking the win in a Game 7 thriller, 4-3. We did not predict that. We predict Semper 4-0 Endpoint, but Endpoint did give up a little bit of a fight. Marvel, do you have any thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, it was really interesting to watch. I think we hit it right on the nail, knowing that Semper was going to get the win. They were very strong in the wild card games, so letting them go up against Endpoint was definitely going to be interesting to see. So I'm really glad for Semper to take it out and get the win. I think it would have been better if they would have got a 4-0, really show their strength. But Game 7 is definitely something to be looking forward to.
Yeah, Semper iced up when it counted most. Definitely showed some of that strength from the wild card, as you mentioned. And Endpoint really surprised me after, much like Semper, skidding for the last 2 months as we closed out the Spring Regionals and the Spring Major. Semper and Endpoint, both teams that seem to be on the downfall, but both seem to be popping off at just the right time. Endpoint, I think, could make some noise in the lower bracket, which is something I would not have said 2 days ago before group play started. I thought Semper, after showing how strong they were going to walk all over Endpoint. Endpoint said not quite yet. Moving right along here, our second match of the day was Team BDS facing off against the OCE team, Renegades, and they 4-1 that series, and we actually hit that right on the head. Marvel Man, any thoughts for that one?
No, I don't think there was much surprise here. Renegades is a good team. There's no doubt about that, but I think Team BDS is better. They just have a stronger play style, and honestly, they deserve the win.
Yeah, Renegades, definitely one of the best matchups Team BDS could have gotten going into this after a bit of a shaky spring regional split, and definitely some quick exits from both the winter and spring majors. The discussion was, is Team BDS just not a LAN team? Can they actually get it done when it matters most? The bright lights are on them, they're on the stage, there is an audience. Can they execute and get it done today? They definitely answered that call. However, Thursday, going to be a much bigger test for them, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Nevertheless, Team BDS, well played, getting the 4-1 win over Team Renegades. The next match of the day was the General NRG versus Version 1. We predicted a 4-2 win for NRG because we figured if there was ever a time that NRG would get it together, it would be now. And obviously, if you watch the stream today, you could see that it did not happen. Version 1 sweeping the General NRG by a score of 4-0. Marvel Man, any thoughts on that one there?
Yeah, I think it was... I can't remember, but I think yesterday we actually kind of argued on this one. I think you picked NRG and I picked Version 1. Regardless, it was still a great match. I think it was overall really fun. And it really just brings the question, what's happening to NRG? I mean, Version 1 is a great team, but they're just going. Version 1 definitely deserved the win. They're a strong team. We saw it somewhat in the wild card, just like Simper, but, it is what it is, and Version 1 just takes the win.
Yeah, Version 1, definitely a very, very strong team. I honestly thought they had a great chance and should have been the number 1 seed coming out of wild card, but a couple bad matches on in there that put them in a non-ideal spot. Still, nevertheless, facing off against the general NRG, making a statement, sweeping them 4-0. And for you NRG fans, definitely a silver lining. I think every game, with the exception of one, was a 1-goal loss. So you're right there. But man, NRG, we're going to get into them in just a minute here, a little more in depth. But definitely a tough one if you are an NRG fan. But moving on for our final match of the day, the headlining match of the day was Moist Esports versus Space Station Gaming. We thought Space Station in 7 and Moist Esports putting the dampener on Space Station Gaming and winning it in a 4-2 series game 6. I would honestly call it an upset. Moist being a great team, I did like this matchup that Space Station presented to Moist. However, just not meant to be today. Marvel, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's really tough for the Space Station community. We talked about how they have some history together, both these teams, and Moist definitely got, the upper hand upon Space Station. They played just faster, and it felt like Space Station just didn't have a very strong defensive front. Seemed like Moist was kind of slipping them in there, but it takes whatever it takes to get the win. Not a fan of Moist, but they won, so I gotta give it to them. Dude, I cannot talk tonight. I'm excited to see what Moist does in the upper finals here.
Yeah, personally, me watching the match, it felt like Space Station a lot of times was diverting too much space to Moist Esports, giving them too much room in the middle of the field, and with the mechanics of Joyo, Rise, and Vateria, just way too much space, way too much room to do the mechanical plays that Moist and the boys are known for. Space Station really, with their demo meta, I thought could have presented problems for Moist, and early on in some of the games that Space Station managed to take off Moist, it seemed like that was what was causing problems. The boost steals, the bumps, the demos, not giving Moist boys this boost that they need to be able to do their strong offensive mechanical plays, but unfortunately for them, for Space Station I should say, unable to finish it and get the job done. They will be dropping to the lower bracket, meaning our Thursday matchups will be for the upper semifinals. Moist versus Semper, the duel of the EU. Should be a fun one. We have Team BDS facing off against Version 1. Each of those teams will qualify instantly for the playoffs. And then from our lower bracket on Thursday, you'll have Space Station versus Endpoint, and then Renegades versus the General NRG. And this segues perfectly into our next talking point. Is the General NRG finally done? Are they finally dead? The talk forever after a tough winter major, an even more difficult spring regional series, not even qualifying for the spring major, barely qualifying for the main event for Worlds. They were almost a wildcard team after being undoubtedly one of the top one, if not top 2 teams in the world, and definitely the number 1 team for NA over a year and a half. Are they finally dead after their just absolute no-show against Version 1 today? What are your thoughts, Marvel?
It's sad to say that they're not playing good. NRG is a very well-established team. Their name is definitely heard within the community. Are they dead, though, is the question. And I honestly don't think so. They lost in the first game here, and that sucks. But, there's still potential for them. And maybe it just took this one game to kind of get their heads straight. So you never know what they could do. And honestly, when you're champions, or at least reigning champions for a year and a half, like you said, there's a lot of pressure on top of your shoulders. So you got to kind of let other teams move in there. Other teams are definitely going to surpass. And, people are just going to get better. And I think it just is going to take NRG a little bit of time to realize, focus back up, and I'm sure they'll be back on top within time. But right now, I wouldn't say they're dead, but they're just stagnant.
Yeah, definitely. It was tweeted out, I think it was after Regional 1 for the spring split in North America, Justin. actually tweeting out that the team is trying a new play style after a poor performance at the Winter Major. And new play styles can take some time to adjust to, and I think myself, as well as many esports fans and energy fans especially, would have hoped and thought that it would have been more comfortable and more fully thought out and realized by this point late in August here, almost nearing the end of the season and almost into RLCS 22-23. So perhaps the new play style will take a little bit longer, and I know I'm screaming in my head, like many fans, just go back to what you were doing. Like, why change anything? You were the #1 undisputed North American team for a year and a half. It's definitely tough being an NRG fan and a fan of just esports, the Rocket League esports scene in general, because these Hall of Fame greats like Garrett G, Squishy, and these up-and-coming greats like Justin, who I would say isn't up-and-coming anymore. He's now one of the greats. He's established. He's a world champion in his own right. And it's tough to see these just, Mount Rushmore figures struggling. But the solace, I don't think they are finally done. And I think, let me tell you why. The bracket, I think, could not have worked out better for them. I liked their odds against version 1. Obviously, that didn't work out in their favor, but I thought that was one of the more friendly matchups they could have gotten. Being dropped to the lower quarterfinals now, they're going to play Renegades from OCE, a team that, even though General NRG are not playing up to snuff, they should be able to take care of Renegades. If they just get demolished by Renegades or even lose in 7 games, yeah, they're officially dead. 1, because they're out of the tournament, but 2, like, you should not drop that game to a minor region team. Yes, I called OCE minor region. Flame me on Twitter. That means they would be going to the lower bracket for the lower semifinals, which would face the upper bracket, upper semifinal team, which means it would be either Moist or Semper. Moist should take that rather comfortably, meaning Semper, the hot team, perhaps cooling off a little bit after a day off, after the Swiss bracket, going 7 with Endpoint. That raises a couple more questions. How they play against Moist will be very telling, and that would mean NRG would get to play Semper for a chance to qualify for playoffs. And then once you're in playoffs, anything can happen at that point. But I don't think NRG is quite dead just yet. But Marvelman, I gotta know, amongst our teams that are left here in Group A, what's your final 4? What 4 teams are going to make the playoffs? So obviously you have Moist or Semper. One of those teams will make it. BDS version 1, one of those teams will make it. And then between Space Station, Endpoint, Renegades, NRG, and the 2 losing teams you have up top, 2 of those teams will go through. What are your final 4 for the A bracket?
Oh, man.
Let's start with Moist and Semper.
Yeah.
Who do you think out of those 2?
They're both really good teams. And everybody knows, I can't stand Moist. And maybe it's just because how good they are, and I don't know. But I'm going to have to say Moist, just because I know they're a good team. Semper's going to definitely give them a fight, though. They're not going to go down easy. But I still think Moist is going to get that first game. Probably like 4-2 in a series.
Alrighty. Now BDS version 1, who do you think between those 2 teams? Who's in your final 4? I'm agree with you with Moist there.
Yeah. It's tough, man. You're throwing these questions on me. I'm not ready for them. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think Team BDS might have a chance. Not sure though, because they did just play Renegades. And version 1 just went against NRG, and they did beat them. Nah, I'm flipping it. Version 1. Let's go version 1.
I'm also going to say version 1 for that matchup. Team BDS, of course, one of the top EU teams, and arguably the greatest team on Earth for quite a while there. I just think version 1 is peaking at the perfect time. I think Moist and version 1 coming out of your upper Group A is a very smart pick. Now your lower 2 qualifiers, you've got Semper, you've got BDS, you've got Space Station, Endpoint, Renegades, NRG. Who do you like coming out of that lower bracket? So for your upper lower, if you will, you have Space Station, Endpoint, or BDS.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to go with my boys, Space Station. I think Space Station has it. Then
I think I'm going to agree with you with Space Station there.
I
think they'll give BDS a very good fight, and I think BDS will. I could see BDS taking it, but I don't know. Space Station, they seem on peak. Today they actually didn't play their best Rocket League, and they still almost took Moist, who are definitely one of the top 2 favorites for the entire tournament. So I think Space Station's a good pick there. Now you have Renegades, NRG, and Semper. Who do you think's grabbing that last qualifying spot for playoffs?
I definitely think that if NRG goes up with Renegades, like mentioned before, they definitely win in that. But I don't think they can beat Semper. Semper is a wall right now. I think they have a really good front on them. And it's a lot. It honestly, like as a competitive team, going up against them is scary almost, because I don't think, have they lost a game within the wild card to here? I don't think so.
Yes, they lost 3 against Endpoint today.
No, I meant sorry. Have they lost a series against through wild card? So they're technically undefeated through the series here. So that's scary as the other team. So I don't think NRG can beat them. Like you said, they're trying out a different play style, so they might be trying something else. Who knows? But I just don't think they got it. I think Semper is going to take the last spot, probably.
I'm actually going to flip on you. I think I'm going to say the General NRG figured out against Renegades. Then with Semper, the only thing stopping them between a playoff berth and a early exit, the difference in success, we had a pretty good tournament making the playoffs. Not failure, but, definitely not up to standards of NRG, not qualifying for playoffs. I think they will find a way to get it done against Semper. Again, Version 1, every game they lost today was only a 1-goal game, and I think Version 1 is infinitely better than Semper. And I think NRG will match up much better against Semper than they did against Version 1 today. So I am going to take Moist, Version 1, Space Station, and NRG. And you were taking Moist, Version 1, Space Station, and Semper, correct?
Yeah, so we got the same ones. It's just you're going with NRG, and I'm going with Semper.
And that will certainly make a fun playoff bracket. But before we get there, we need to talk about tomorrow's matchups. The Group B bracket coming your way tomorrow. Let's go in order of the performance. We're starting off tomorrow at 12 Eastern with FaZe versus the Club. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Marvel?
This is going to be an amazing match. That is all I can say. It is going to be so good. FaZe Clan, known for being just a dominant team. Aggressive, wow, dude, I'm telling you, I cannot talk tonight. Aggressive play style, just very, very consistent. And the Club, a sleeper team, I would almost say. They came in here through the Swiss bracket, weaving in and out, winning some, losing some, but they're definitely a solid team nonetheless. But can they beat the FaZe Clan? That's the question. I don't think so. I think FaZe Clan is going to take the win here. But I don't think they're going to go down easy. I'm saying 4-1 FaZe Clan.
4-1 FaZe Clan. Yeah, this was a matchup. As soon as we saw it, you heard me getting all giddy on the podcast Sunday night. I was super excited. The mechanical offensive fast, in-your-face style of the Club playing up against the North American team, FaZe. But FaZe honestly plays much like a South American club in the way that their offense is fast, mechanical, flashy, very one-dimensional, player-based, about just styling, getting the mechanics done to try to 1v3, 1v2 the other team. So those two matchups being very, very similar in their play style. And mechanically, from a player standpoint, KV1 of the Club, first killer of FaZe Clan, and then you also have AJ on FaZe Clan. It's certainly going to be a ones-dominated series where it's going to be just solo play after solo play. I'm super excited for the high-flying speed and nature of this game. I don't think it's 4-1 FaZe Clan, though. I think it's 4-2 FaZe Clan. I think the Club going to put up a little more of a fight. I think FaZe Clan definitely just a better team. KV1 of the Club, definitely a top-tier talent, but FaZe Clan, they have more top-tier talent, and I think First Killer is going to be the best player on that field come tomorrow. Moving right along, though, our second matchup of the day is going to be the number 1 NAC G2 versus the wildcard team Optic Gaming. Marvel, your thoughts?
G2, straight up. I don't know what the series is going to be right now. I have to think on that. But I have picked Optic Gaming the past, what was it? I think I picked Optic Gaming one time, and then they lost. And then after that, I was like, nah, I'm done with them. And then they've won games every time I've not chosen them. So, I'm saying G2. Not because I want G2 to win, but hoping that Optic can prove me wrong. I think that's my mindset behind this. I'm saying G2. I don't know if I want to say it's a full sweep, though. I think Optic might give them... Nah, I'm saying a full sweep. G2,
Wow.
4-0, taking the sweep in the series.
So, G2, the undisputed best North American team since Winter Major. But I'm going to be honest. Even Kings get dethroned. We're seeing the downfall of NRG right now, and it's very rare to see a team stay at the top as long as NRG did. And I think G2 is suffering the very similar fate right now. At the Gamers 8 tournament in Saudi Arabia, they were out, and I want to say the quarterfinals. They got knocked out early. And will that translate to Worlds? So, with that being said, I'm still taking G2. I'm still taking G2. But I think this is a competitive series. I'm going to say 4-2. I want to say 4-3. But I'm going to say 4-2. I would not be shocked, though, if G2 does get sent to the lower bracket with a loss there. I could see it happening, but I think G2, at least against Optic, you don't have to worry about the upset too much if you're a G2 Sports fan. However, in the upper semifinals, you might have to worry about it because our next match is Furia versus Carmine Corp, and I think either of those teams, whoever you pick, could upset G2, and I would argue it's an upset if G2 wins that series. But nevertheless, Furia, Carmine Corp. Who do you like in this matchup, Marvel?
It's tough, man. Why are these so tough? I feel like
This is the group
I
of death.
like K-Corp. I do. I think they have that special like pizzazz to them, you know? Like I want them to win. And I want them to beat Furia. But the question is, can they do it? I don't know. Furia is a solid team. I think they have the potential to beat K-Corp, but I'm not sure. They're just both really, really good teams. I'm gonna have to say... I'm gonna say K-Corp. I'm gonna give it a game 7 though. But don't quote me on that. I would not be surprised if Fury wins. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of just want K-Corp to win. Like I can feel it in my bones, like in my soul. Like I want them to win. I'm rooting for them, but I just don't know if they can pull for it.
I have been on the K-Corp bandwagon since the beginning of this tournament. I've been the one driving the bus. The young, phenom talent of Carmine Corp. But the number 1 seeded Furia out of South America, led by the, I would argue, number 2 player in the world, Jans, coming off the win at Gamers 8, taking down Team Falcons, who is the number 2 team in the world. I think Furia are going to come out and get it done against Carmine Corp. I'm going to say a game 7, though. I'm saying Furia gets it done against Carmine Corp. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these teams wins. Well, obviously one of them will win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go either way. I do think, though, in the end, Jans will make a difference. I think Furia comes out on top, 4-3 in a game 7. Thrilling series, definitely one you don't want to miss. That might be one of the highlights of the day. But I don't know, this next matchup has the potential to be just as good. Coming your way at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, you have Team Falcons out of Middle East against Team Dignitas. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Marvel?
Oh man, dude, it's gonna be a good match. That's as simple as that. I mean, with the simplistic but advanced play style of Team Falcons that they just bring to the field is amazing. You know, like you said, they were number 2 in their region, and they're just a really great team. Dignitas, don't be sleeping on them because they'll come up and they'll get you from behind. They're not a bad team. They'll definitely get you if you're not paying attention. So, can Team Falcons go in there tomorrow and stay focused, keep it together and get the win. If they can, I'm saying Team Falcons. If they're, not thinking too much and they don't think that, Dignitas is that big of a competition, that's where they get you. So that means Dignitas would take the win. Still saying Team Falcons, though, just because of how strong of a team they are. I'm going to give them 4-1. Yeah, 4-1. I'm going to go 4-1 Team Falcons.
See, this can be a tough one. Falcons. I've been driving the bandwagon for Falcons for well over a year now. And TRK recently did a feat that only 3 or 4 others have ever accomplished in the history of Rocket League. He claimed the #1 spot on the leaderboard for 1v1, the #1 spot on the leaderboard for 2v2, the #1 spot on the leaderboard for 3v3. He was #1 in all 3 playlists at one time. An extremely rare feat. And I saw TRK of Team Falcons match up against First Killer in a 1v1 matchup the other day. It was on Johnny Boy's stream. It's on his YouTube now, I'm sure. If you have not seen it, everyone needs to go check that out. Because when I say it genuinely looks like TRK is hacking when his car is driving, it looks like he is hacking. It looks like his car boost strength is like 2 or 3 times what it should be. He is so unbelievably, unfathomably fast on the field. The undisputed #1 player in the world right now, I would say. I think he is a difference maker. With Ahmed and O'Khaled, of course, I think Falcons do get it done and make a statement win against Dignitas. We did talk about how Dignitas is a dangerous team in this tournament, but I think Falcons will know what's at stake. Because the losing team of this matchup, or whoever wins this and plays FaZe, the loser of that matchup, if you were to go on and win, you would eventually be the #4 seed for Group B, meaning you would go up against the Group A #1, meaning you're going to go up against Moist in round 1 of the playoffs. You want to avoid that slot almost at all costs.
That'd be tough.
That's a tough round 1 matchup, and I believe Falcons, Dignitas, the Club, FaZe, I could see any of them knocking out Moist in that round 1 matchup, but if you can avoid them, obviously you want to. So I think Falcons, knowing what's at stake, they're going to get it done. They're going to 4-2 Dignitas. I think it's a competitive series, but I think Falcons do get it done. I almost said 4-1, but I think Dignitas will figure it out, at least somewhat, and give them a little bit of a fight. And that would mean that your matchups for Friday would be G2 Furia. What a matchup. FaZe Clan Falcons. What a matchup. Optic Carmine Corp. A rematch, I believe, from the Swiss bracket. And the Club versus Dignitas, another fantastic matchup. This Group B is truly a group of death, and I can't wait to see it all unfold starting tomorrow with these round 1 matchups for Group B. But Marvel, any closing thoughts before we end for today?
It's going to be some great Rocket League. I'm excited to see it, and I think, honestly, tomorrow's going to be great, but I think with how the results are going to be for tomorrow, I think I'm going to be even more excited for Thursday. Thursday is going to be, like, off the walls, because you just don't know, like, how these games are going to play out.
Yeah.
And how just these teams would just go up against each other, and it's not going to show up until game time. And that's just what makes it so much fun, and I love the game. It's great. So, yeah, definitely watch it, check it out, get your drops, all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. Things are heating up now after we get through tomorrow, Wednesday, with Group B round 1. That means Thursday we will be saying goodbye to some top 16 teams, as well as qualifying 2 teams for the main playoff event. And then the same thing happening on Friday with Group B, saying goodbye to 2 of those teams, qualifying 2 of those. And then Saturday we will be getting rid of 4 more teams, 2 from Group A, 2 from Group B, qualifying 2 from Group A and 2 from Group B. And then Sunday, where it all goes down in the playoffs. But just to recap, your matchups for tomorrow at 12 Eastern are going to be FaZe versus the Club, 1 p.m. G2 versus Optic, 2 p.m. Eastern Furia versus Carmi Corp. You will not want to miss that one. And then at 3 o'clock, Falcons versus Dignitas. Definitely do not want to miss any of these matchups. I think tomorrow is far superior to the matchups we got today, and today was pretty darn awesome. But
I'm gonna interrupt you real quick. I think I heard something about I think the games are actually gonna start at 11 tomorrow instead of 12.
It's 11 Central.
11 Central. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's
Just make
12
sure.
Eastern.
Okay.
But
I was wondering. I was like, why is it starting at 11? But yeah. Okay, cool.
absolutely, definitely to double check. We're at double checking. That's why I make sure to mention it at the end of every single podcast, just so that way none of you guys are misconstrued or confused. But on behalf of Marvel Man and the entire staff over here, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys again tomorrow night following Day 2 group action. But this has been Bexum and Marvel Man signing
Have a good night, guys.
Adios.